emotional settlement, emotional healing, how do you feel about where we are? How do you want to contribute? And what does that mean going forward? That inclusivity that we talk about. Taking Ubuntu from this commercial thing it's become and grounding it in the idea of I am because you are, therefore we are. Right? It's inclusivity. Then taking those two steps becomes well, how do we keep this sustainable? Now as South Africa, in one way or another, we achieved this political settlement. We started the journey of emotional settlement, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We opened Pandora's box, we never prepared to open it, and we are still trying to close it. We're not dealing with it. Now again, it's that invisibility factor. There are people who went and poured their souls out in public, hoping they would get some kind of closure. And it still hasn't come. Now for those people, if you're telling them, wait, we've got solutions coming, just wait. Right? You're not going to get very far. Now instead of dealing with Pandora's box, we decided to sidestep it and say, hey, let's make money. But grow it as what? Right. South Africa suffers from, there's a presentation I give where I speak to a hairline fracture. Right? As an athlete, if you've had a fracture or a break, you know what it is, so it will force you to stop if it's as big as a break. Hairline fracture is one of the worst injuries to have, right? Because it's bad enough that you're not comfortable, but not so bad when you stop the bad behavior. But unfortunately, the more you apply pressure to that hairline fracture, when it finally breaks, it splinters. And that's unfortunately where South Africa finds.
Meet requirements for government policy, and also bottom line requirements for companies. How do you work in the environment? Because in as much as, whenever we're disruptive, we're still disruptive within an environment. And these are the two pillars that pretty much are responsible for funding anything development related.
Corporate, in any sphere of influence, if I say. And the work that we do as Reimagine it's manifold, to be honest. It's complex, but equally simple. Complex because sitting around this table, the very many perspectives that are represented here, in one way or another, we need to have some kind of understanding of them. Because to dismiss the perspectives that are sitting around the table is to render those who have them invisible. And that manifests its way in a very explosive way when people want to be visible. Right? Someone was standing outside the pool, he waited long enough and he said, you know what, cannonball, I'm getting in the pool. Right? Disruptive to what's the status quo, right? May have made some of those guys feel uncomfortable, but he got what he wanted. Right? The question becomes, how do we reimagine a culture where people see others waiting on the other side of the pool and simply make space because there's enough to share. You don't need the whole thing to swim your laps. And please put up your hand if you're tired of that analogy. I've got others, but it's just something that happens.
So it's the running analogy. Or the swim analogy.
Right? So in terms of what it is that we do, it's about making sure that we can facilitate scenarios where everyone who lives in South Africa can experience Ubuntu by enabling and connecting people who are making a difference. And reflecting how corrupt a nation we are. Right? But who's having the conversation about each and every one of you sitting here who I would like to guess aren't corrupt? Who's profiling that? Who's having a conversation about the staff that's at Virgin Collection that gets up early on time to make sure that they make that honest living? Who's having a conversation about Simon who makes sure that he's on time, takes the effort of learning our languages to better communicate with us so that he can better serve the needs of whatever reason he's here in South Africa trying to take care of his future.
Yes.
Same with Tanda. We don't take time to interact on this human level. We go to the boxes we keep and putting one another in. And I say that to bring up the other point. There have been places where I've had interactions and it becomes a black-white conversation. I was once asked, and this platform I take with a gentleman a co-founder of Reimagine SA, Dr. George Ndiki, who every time he starts engaging people, he will say, I was a maker of apartheid. And when I realized it was a wrong institution, I have been spending the rest of my life trying to be a breaker of apartheid.
Display the repercussions of what we're sitting and talking about right now around this table. She led the Fees Must Fall movement very strongly and proudly so for UCT. Achieved whatever they had to achieve. I think it was 2018. Got out of the whole thing. Now education is free. Woke up one day and realized that the struggle they were all in had united them is over. And now that freedom is almost there, she found herself alone. She's now in Kutleski Hospital, mentally stable. It's almost a year now because I think deep down in my heart I feel freedom is not for collective. Freedom cannot be shared. A struggle can be shared, and struggle can sort of pull people together. But once freedom is earned, individuals stand on their own. My challenge as a mother is how do I come to terms with that for her, and how do I help her get rehabilitated back into society to be able to function, to say yes, you guys did the best that you can, you fought, you did it, you're on your own. You now have to put your headphones on, be quiet, be silent, mind other people's faces, mind what you say, how you say it, and when you say it. Going back to your example, if you find people swimming, you can't just jump in there, you know? Yes, freedom, education is free today, but you have now to detach yourself from it. You don't own the results of it, you don't own whatever has come to the fore. You are now yourself, you are my daughter, and you will live life as an everyday citizen of this country. That's just my piece to say. I feel as if whatever we've all earned and achieved, we don't have a platform that's taught us how to share the freedom that we've earned. On a personal level, at a national level, and this is how I feel, and I feel very strongly about it. That this freedom leaves each and every one of us as individuals. When I leave here, I'm grabbing my handbag as an individual out of